I grew up in New York with my sisters, my parents. We grew up in Brooklyn, born and raised there. Went to Catholic school most of my life. Actually, yeah, 99% of it was Catholic school up until sixth grade. Faith was always integrated in everything. We went to Mass every Sunday. We talked about the faith. It was in our classes. It was religion class. So, God was definitely a part of my life, and I loved God, and I knew that He loved me. So I don't know about religious life in the sense of brothers and wearing a habit was ever in my purview, but the faith was definitely prominent and definitely in our household for my whole life. Even when I moved from New York to Florida in sixth grade, I still went to church, still went to mass. Things kind of drifted apart there a little bit, but that's happens in life. But it was a huge part of growing up. My parents made sure we knew the faith, we knew what we were talking about when it comes to it. If they didn't know much about their own faith, they just knew that God and the church were right and real. But they always encouraged us to ask questions and to always seek those answers. So my view of religious in any aspect was always the Disney version of Robin Hood, and or any version of Robin Hood, where there's Friar Tuck and his habit, and just the idea of or anything that was Hollywood related with that aspect of just monks and friars and things to that effect. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I got to know what the Capuchins were a couple years ago, and I did something called Spiritus, where we put on retreats for Catholic youth. I did that for 2 years, and one of our retreats is at Mount Calvary, where it's predominantly it's only Capuchins, right? And the students go there and they're taught by Capuchins and everything, and so it was exposed to that religious life. But then before that, just getting deeper in my faith, I knew what the religious orders were: Dominicans, Franciscans, and the different things out there, Augustinians, and all that. But it wasn't something that I ever thought about pursuing or anything like that. I would say about 2, 3 years ago, that's when they started popping up everywhere. I would say, I don't know, like in TikTok or Instagram or things like that, where you're like swiping, like if you cultivate your algorithm, I guess, for lack of a better word, you would just, religious stuff will start popping up, and so they would pop up in videos like that. One thing that I started watching on YouTube was Breaking the Habit, which is a Franciscan podcast slash video thing that Father Casey is his name. And then the idea of becoming Franciscan started just like creeping in a little bit as things were going on. And that, these are just like little things as years were piling up. So, I looked at other religious orders. I looked at OFMs. I even looked at Dominicans and different things like that. And nothing really seemed to fit, right? And then I did the come and see for the Capuchins. And then I remember just sitting with the other come seers with Father MJ, and he said something that really struck home for me, which was this idea that for the Capuchins, comes first, then brotherhood, then the mission. And it's not to understate the mission, that the mission is like last, but rather that the brotherhood and God is what allows you to be able to do the mission. That God gives you the strength, your brothers help you through that mission and help cultivate your life, and that is how you're able to do the mission, to go out and help others and serve others. So that really like struck on my heart, because brotherhood and friendship and family is huge in my life. I'm Hispanic, so family is is huge. And if you ask any of my friends, like they're not I'll say all of them, they're not really friends. They're like family to me. I consider them brothers and sisters. So that idea of brotherhood, that idea that being able to be with family, to be able to do this mission and to live a life where they help you through this mission, is what really struck me about the Capuchins. And it's not to say that doesn't exist in the other religious orders, because it obviously does, and that's why they're able to thrive. But to make it in the Constitution and in the lifestyle, that's where it is. It's prayer and God and brotherhood that helps with the mission. Like, that's a staple of it. That really was just like, wow, that blew my mind. So the big blessing, biggest blessing, is the formation and the guidance and just the growing in spirituality and growing with God in this whole process. It's only been 2 months so far, but there's just been a lot of God saying, here's where you were, here's where you are now, and we're gonna be going way farther. And God's like, I got you through all of this. So that's been like one of the biggest blessings throughout this whole thing. The struggle is, for me, family. I'm trying to readjust and be part of the community, and I think I'm doing really well at that part, but just missing home, missing my parents, missing my sisters, and then just things that I know that I could be helping them out with, or that I have that feeling of like I should be having a job, I should be paying for my mom's bills, and just helping out in the family, and knowing that part of my life is not where I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be here. So it's just the little inner turmoil, just knowing that my family's 1,000 miles away, and it's really hard to be away from them, but knowing that it's good for me to be away from them, that this is where I'm supposed to be, that God had put me here for a reason. There really isn't should be any worry about the situation. The brothers help you along the line every step of the way. If it's just the come and see, just go to the come and see. You're not obligated to join. You're not obligated to do anything other than just see what it's like, and just meet the people. And if you want to take that postulancy step, just follow the process, take the steps going towards it, and you're not obligated to stay. Growing up in the household, my life, my dad always instilled this sense of you have a responsibility to help others, right? If you can, do it, right? He would always quote the Gospel of Matthew, whatever you do to the least of these, you do unto me, is what Christ says, right? So that was always a huge thing that God put on my heart, that he put on my dad's heart, and that my dad always taught us. If my dad ever stood to something, that was his life, was help others, even if you don't have much to give, whatever you give is more than enough. So if that's giving up your chair on a bus and just letting them take your seat, or if you have 3 shirts and this person needs one, give them your shirt. At least you have 2. And if you have 4 cookies and there's 2 people, give all your cookies away. Just whatever it is, always help others. And that was something that was instilled in me. And so seeing that play out in the Capuchin life and in the Franciscan life of ministry, that was extremely attractive. I get to help other people in a gospel way. And even when I'm not even paying attention to that, I'm still doing that. So I'm able to live out my lessons as a kid in my ministry in real life. So that is an extremely attractive part of all of this. That's one of the other bigger blessings here. One, coming here first and first I met Mitch, then I met all the other brothers. And so just the way they've accepted me into the community. And then the moment I walk into House of Peace and I met Miss Linda, and then she just, that welcoming conversation that we have, and then meeting Miss Faye and all of them, Cindy and everybody, and just how happy they were to have me there. And just how open they were to have this random Puerto Rican guy from Florida just randomly come in and start working with them. And they're just the jokes and the laughter and everything with that, as well as that heartwarming feeling that you get from just, I helped this person out. Maybe it won't last forever, but at least at this moment they're able to have something, and I was a part of that. So these have been just knowing the people, getting to know them, seeing familiar faces, and just the love that the community has in both the ministry and at home. I would say, the best thing right now about Milwaukee and coming here.